Well, this week's Bushel Up, we're coming to you from Aurora, and what you see behind me is corn planted in that middle of May. So we've seen that April window, any corn planted in April, probably up to about the 6th of May. We pretty well got tassels out. We're hitting that full tassel stage on that. This later planted window, kind of that second big window where we saw a lot of corn go in, that middle of May. This was planted May 15th, May 16th kind of window. We're just getting ready to tassel behind us. So we got tassels here, about 2 leaves. So by the end of the week, we expect to see this field poking some tassels, especially on the 110 to 111 day type corn. What we do want to talk about is what we've continued to talk about with insects. You know, you can tell I've already had a fair amount of insect activity out here when we look at lower leaves that have been scarred up, eaten up by Japanese beetles, some corn rootworm beetle feeding. As soon as I get some silks out, then I got to really watch this field. So when we look at the western bean moth flight, looks like we had a pretty good peak last week, kind of the middle to end of the week. We're still seeing some pretty good activity at the light traps. It hasn't shut off by any means, so we need to be watching these plants. One thing I want to talk about is, you know, we scout for eggs. We're usually looking in these upper leaves to see egg laying on the upper side or bottom side of that leaf. And we talk about 3 to 5% egg mass as being a threshold where we treat. And the reason is as those larvae hatch, they go up to the tassel, and then when they disperse out of that tassel to go down to our ear tips, you'll notice all these leaves are touching. If I'm a corn plant here and I got western bean larvae crawling down me, I got all these leaves hitting me, it's going to spread. I've seen larvae go to 6, 7 plants around just one egg mass. So 5% can turn into 80% infestation of ear tips. So that's why that threshold's so low. We've seen a lot of damage out of very few low counts of egg mass in years where survival is good. Currently, survival conditions for those larvae is pretty favorable as long as we keep some of these humidity and dew points up. When we get really hot and dry, I know we felt like it's really hot, but it's been fairly humid. You know, we get hot, dry winds, and the larvae survival rate goes down. So a lot of things to watch for on that, but that's kind of the main insect we're watching through south central Nebraska here. You move east, we're not seeing quite the light trap activity, but again, something to keep an eye out for. Then we have rootworm beetles that are out in full force now. So that's the name of the game. Watch the insects, watch these fields as they start to silk. Make sure we're protecting those silks and not losing kernels due to silk clipping. Crop water use, we're at that 30/100 still. On most of these fields, you know, it'll vary from day to day, but I always figure, you know, an inch every 3 to 4 days is what we need. So a little bit of rain relief this weekend, depending on where you're at. Maybe you got to shut the pivots down or shut off for a day or two, but looking at the 10-day forecast, there's not a lot of relief, so we need to keep after it. So with that, we'll just let you go. Appreciate all your aerial business. We want to be keeping ahead of these fields, mitigate that stress with fungicides. Feed this crop and definitely keep those silks safe from some of these insects that are out there. With that, we'll keep you updated if we see anything else major come along.